The opinions expressed on this show do not necessarily reflect those of the Barber's Chat Network, our great partners at H&B Media, or any of our media peers. We're just five idiots who love sports and love to talk shit. If you're offended easily, then this show isn't for you. And for those of you who aren't offended easily, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Remember, it's only entertainment.
So cool.
Triple double hat trick, I know the code too. Ice trade, go for trade, yeah we cold too. Getting paper on these player haters, old news. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold. My agent just said we made 100 flat. Make it back and make it stack this like I'm Steven Jack. Put my rings up in the camera like I needed that. Up in the air and at the rim is where I meet them at.
So cool.
Triple double hat trick, I know the code too. Ice trade, go for trade, yeah we cold too. Getting paper on these player haters, old news. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another edition of I'm Not Gonna Hold You, man. It is Monday, April 21st, 2025. Hope you guys had a great Easter weekend. Hope you guys had a great 420 for those of you niggas who do celebrate it. And I hope you had a good weekend in general, man. So, but to start off, per usual, I am your host, Scott Lewis. You know to follow me on all social media platforms, man, at Barber Chair Scott. You can follow the Barber's Chair at Barber's Chair Co. on all social media platforms. That includes X, Instagram, TikTok, the whole deal. Follow our partners, H&B Media, and at H&B Media TV on Twitter, and at H&B Media on Instagram. And, of course, subscribe to the Patreon, man, patreon.com/Barber's Chair Network. If you see... if you listen to this on the podcast feed, the link is right there in the description box. Click on that. And if you're watching this on YouTube or any other screen, you can take your phone right up to this QR code and it will take you to all of the four tiers, man. If you subscribe to the $5 tier, you get the midweek show. I'm not gonna hold you on Wednesdays. And if you subscribe to the $10 holla, not only do you get that, you get everything else, including a 20% discount off everything on the Barber's Chair Network Barber merchandise shop. That is bcnetshop.com. We've got a new shirt dropping this Thursday for the NFL draft. And speaking of the NFL draft, we have our annual NFL draft reaction special, which will be this Thursday at 6:30 Central Time, 7:30 Eastern Time, and that's 4:30 on the West Coast. It'll be me, it'll be Bang, it'll be Courtney, and Dante will be joining us for our reactions to the first 10 picks of the NFL draft. I was not here for this last year. Of course, like I always said, I was sick and in the hospital, but I have no plans on being that this Thursday. So we're going to come on 30 minutes before the draft starts, and we're going to react to all of the first 10 draft picks, man. So look out for that on H&B Media and the Barber's Chair Co, man. But right now, I'm going to bring in my partner in crime. He is the one and only JR Bang. Bang is in the building. You can follow him at JR Bang on all social media platforms. Bang, how you feeling? I know you had yourself a great weekend, man. How you feeling?
Feeling good, man. Great weekend, celebrating 10 years and renewing vows, and everything. Salute to my wife, and everybody who came through. You know, first of all, shouts out to my wife and my kids, of course. My wife was the most beautiful bride. And I am not going to sit up here and lie to you all, because if you saw some of the videos that were shared in my Instagram stories, or if you saw anything that was just shared, y'all saw the emotional side of Bang. So y'all definitely go see that. But also thank you for everybody who came out, man. It was great to bring family together for such an occasion because a lot of people don't know or might not know when we got married. The next day I moved to St. Louis, and then she moved like 2 weeks later. So we
God damn.
really haven't we really haven't really had a time to like celebrate. And we did this weekend. God damn it. So shouts out to everybody who slid. Shouts out to everybody who bought me a shot or a glass of tequila, a glass. Because I definitely felt it and everything. So yeah, and now get to enjoy this PTO time, and everything too. So yeah, but great weekend.
PTO from his actual gig, not PTO on here. His PTO was
Yeah.
used on Friday, which means no PTO for the rest of the year. But glad you had a good weekend, bro. My weekend was spent watching. Man, it was like sports overload this weekend. I watched a whole bunch of sports. I watched obviously the NBA playoffs. I watched the Stanley Cup playoffs. I told Courtney I was gonna watch. Don't know if I'm gonna continue watching, but I did watch this weekend. I watched a lot of soccer this weekend as well, so it was a very relaxing weekend for me, man. So that's what that was about, man. But yeah, let's get into our warm up, man. Did you see any of the footage from the Grand National Tour, which started a
Yes.
couple days ago in Minnesota?
Yes. He's starting off hot.
Yeah.
He ain't letting it go.
Yeah. For those of you who thought he would let it go, I was like, he's for sure going to perform Euphoria. I'm not Euphoria, but not like us. So I was like, yeah, that's his biggest hit. You know what I'm saying? Kendrick fans, by the way, let's stop saying his biggest hit is Humble. No. I know we like to say that it's not. His biggest hit is not like us.
It's officially it's not like us right now.
Yeah,
like officially.
Not like us. Officially, obviously, we know that Humble's been out longer, but not like us. And it looks like Luther might even pass Humble. As it's going for its 10th week on the Billboard Top 100. Only thing I still have not had my ticket yet. My trip to New Orleans for the Super Bowl kind of interrupted those plans. I shot Derek in the chat. He said he went to the concert. Best performance, man. Shout out to you. I'm jealous. I still want to go to the Soldier Field show, but as somebody who visits Soldier Field, 9 times a year, 10 if you include the preseason games, I don't know if I want to sit that high. Like honest, and like I don't know if I want to sit that high and look at the screen to pay that much amount of money. I love Kendrick. I still might do it, but I'm very much on the fence. But it looked incredible. The setup looked great. But what was hilarious to me was he starts the show with Euphoria. He starts the show with Euphoria. I'm not going to say what the whole set list is. I hate when niggas go to concerts and they leak the whole set list. Like, you're taking the joy out of the whole entire thing.
Our bad. Oh, well, let me apologize on behalf of my staff who already have.
Well, the sites do that because they're trying to get clicks. But for me, I didn't see it. But he starts off with Euphoria, and there's a deposition scene before going into Not Like Us, which is actually kind of play off Lil Wayne's deposition. And also it's going into what's going on right now in the Drake UMG case of Discovery. As Bang said, neither party wants to go to Discovery, and here we are at Discovery. As UMG also told Drake, it goes both ways, my nigga. Yeah.
We gonna see what happens, but yeah, that was the one thing that I was gonna ask you. Did you see the quote that UMG sent out? And I was like,
yeah, it
shit.
was very ominous. And it said, yeah, okay, we can be on the stand, but guess what? You gotta be up there too. Like
if we gotta
open
up anything,
right? And they all said we've known you for 16 years, my nigga. Like it's, you know what I'm saying? Like we gotta. What Cameron said, I got dirt on you, doggy. I'm gonna get.
We know where the bones are buried.
We know
where the bones are buried because we helped you bury them.
Right, exactly. So, but yeah, that was funny to me. Kendrick is 100% not done with this, and he's gonna give every city their moment. When it comes to this, like we all got to see it at the Super Bowl, we all got to see it at the pop out. Now he's going city to city, and it was sold out. Sold out. US Bank Stadium tweeted out, and also saw, I think it's like the tour tracker page. 95% of the entire tour is sold out. So that's massive for Kendrick. It's massive for SZA as well. I think SZA's star power is very underrated. I saw One of These Days, by the way. Really good movie. I really enjoyed it. Shout out to Issa Rae as well, man. But speaking of movies, Sinners. I have not seen it. I'm going to wait to see it. I'm seeing it this weekend. Didn't want to see it. Yeah, I'm going to see it this weekend on IMAX. So I'm not somebody who really complains about spoilers. So for all y'all tweeting on the timeline about it, whatever, 9 times out of 10, I'm not even going to know what the hell you're talking about anyway because I have not seen the movie. But it's been a better reaction than I thought it was going to be. I thought it would be a good reaction because Coogler and Michael B. Jordan have a pretty good shooting percentage together, but this is gonna sound hilarious. Part of me is like really excited to do it when people go over, oh, it's for the culture and things like that. It makes me like I don't know. Y'all do the same thing when Black Panther came out. Granted, Black Panther is amazing, but that's also where I was just like, but we'll see how it is. But I know you haven't seen it because you had a busy weekend. But
yeah, no, I haven't seen it yet. But everybody, like, there is not even Black Panther that I've seen unanimous when it comes to black folks. Like when Black Panther came out, it was a couple of black folks that was, calling people names because they was out here dressed like Black Panther. And it was some people that was like, oh, this superhero stuff and all that. I have not seen one person that I know that have seen Sinners and has went and said that this shit was huff, overrated, or anything like that. Everybody who I know went to see this movie has all said that this movie is at least 8 out of 10. Yeah. So I'm gonna try to see it while I'm out on PTO. I want to see that in the counting too. But yeah, I've not seen not one person who has seen this movie and shitted on it. This is 100% on Black Rotten Tomatoes right now, like people fucking with this movie.
Yeah, I think the thing was, the funny thing is everybody knows me as a massive Marvel fan now, but when Black Panther came out, I was not a Marvel fan. Not only that, I wasn't really a movie TV guy, which I know is hilarious because if you know me now, I was not. I promise you, that was my first time in a movie theater since 2015 when Entourage movie came out, when I went to go see Black Panther. What changed when I started working for a movie studio is when I became a movie TV head. When I started seeing how the things were made and I was on set and going to premieres and stuff like that. By the way, the job sounds amazing, but the $18 an hour I was making was not. So that's how they tricked you with the perks that came with it. Amazing holiday party. Really didn't have to pay for lunch and breakfast a lot of times either, but the pay was shit. But I digress. That's when I became a fan of like movies and TV. I went to go see the movie because it was a lot of people talking about it. I remember it was a cracking weekend in LA because it was the same weekend that Nipsey dropped Victory Lap, and it was the same weekend of All-Star Weekend in Los Angeles. So yeah, all three of those things going on at the same time. And I remember I went, and I am team everybody enjoy things, but I've never been a fan of cosplays unless you go into like Comic-Con, my nigga. I walk into like with anything, not just with anything. If it's not Halloween or Comic-Con and you're not a child, why are you dressing up? But that's just me. So I was walking to ArcLight movie in like Culver City, me and Pappy, and then when I tell you there was a line to the door, and these niggas got dashikis on and shit like that. Me and Pat was like, nah, we going to the bar. So I went to go see it a week later on a Saturday at like 11 a.m. in the morning. I was like, oh, this is a really good movie. But what made me a Marvel head, I saw the Infinity War trailer a month later. I went on Twitter. I was like, nigga, what do I have to watch to understand this movie? And everybody gave me a list of stuff, and I just got into it. Kind of sort of where I am with soccer right now. People who don't know me personally, when I find a new obsession, I will go back and find out how it started. Like I go all into the crates. You know what I'm saying? Like I learn everything I possibly can. So, but I say all that to say this. It's been a lot of people real positive. My brother texted me right after he saw it. Nigga, 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10. You know, go see that now. So I'm gonna wait till this weekend. I got a busy week, so I'm gonna see it this weekend on IMAX. I'll find somewhere in LA to watch it, where there's not a lot of people, and I'll watch it this weekend. But one last thing before we actually get to the playoff. Did you see that nigga on Twitter who tried to run up on DeMar DeRozan? And it did not go the way he thought it was going to go?
Did not go the way. And reportedly, allegedly, they said that he did that a couple of times in a restaurant. Like just one of them niggas is trying to go viral and shit and got his ass beat.
Yeah. Well, that's what happens. Like DeMar's from Compton. And really from anybody. Like, don't be running up. First of all, I don't like how people come up, people ask for anything with a phone out. Why you got a phone out? Like relax. Unless I'm doing something harmful. Like, yeah, do that to the police. Because you don't know what them niggas are doing. Don't do that to me. It's going to be a problem, man. But let's get into our NBA playoff recap. By the way, the homie Tosin will be back like around 5:30, right around an hour 15 from now. We're going to have episode 2 of Soccer for Dummies. Me and him going to break down the weekend and the Premier League and La Liga and everything like that. All the soccer games. We got a lot of good reaction or feedback from last week's segments. We're going to keep that up. Banger be gone, but I'm giving this nigga half a day. But let's get into the NBA playoffs, man. It was quite an interesting weekend of basketball, man. There was some good games. There was a lot of crap games. Well, I think it was a real mixed bag this week. Tonight you got game 2 of Knicks Pistons. And I don't know if you read the comments on our IG reel. There's a lot of niggas mad. A lot of niggas mad about what we said about the Pistons. And on my TikTok, oh my God. Shout out to the
Knicks fans.
Knicks fans, a whole bunch of random. I don't know if some people weren't even Knicks fans, but I know on TikTok our reels do pretty good. This one got like 5,000, something like that. And I had like a whole shit ton of comments. Niggas like, you all on the Knicks dick. Sound just like a Pistons fan. I'm like, well, breaking news. I'm not a Pistons fan.
I'm not a Pistons fan.
And actually, I don't like the Pistons. I don't even like Detroit sports. And he's like, well, you deep throating it. Da, 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 da. Like, niggas is mad. This is how I know niggas is mad. After the Knicks won, a nigga who I was debating on the Instagram came back. It was like, Pistons play like Pistons. I didn't even respond. I'm like, well, you are really upset if you came back 48 hours later to respond on the comments, man. But game 2 of that series tonight, and then game 2 of Clippers Nuggets was, in my opinion, best game of the weekend is going on tonight. But I want to start off with, I think the NBA has a blowout problem. This week, I don't know how many games it was, but half of them were blowouts. Memphis Grizzlies shouldn't even be allowed to have a game 2.
Yeah, that should have been,
That shouldn't even be allowed. I know we said you weren't here on Friday, but me, Pavi, and Dante all said it don't matter who wins that playing game between Memphis and Dallas, they getting swept. And what I said was confirmed because 51-point blowout is ridiculous. Then you had Boston and Orlando. They fake put up a fight, but they still lost by like 20. What was another game? Oh, the Indiana Milwaukee game. They lost by 52 if Giannis was just unstoppable. And then you got Dame, who's probably gonna play in game 2 tomorrow, is what it sounds like. And then you had the Cleveland-Miami game. Cleveland won by 20. But it was competitive for the most part, but it wasn't one of those things where you ever felt like Miami was ever going to take the lead. You know what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't one of those type situations. But I'm starting to see these trends in the NBA playoffs the last, I'll say, 3 seasons, where there's been an amount of blowouts. Last year's NBA playoffs, front to back, was one of the worst NBA playoffs I've ever seen. The last 2 NBA finals have been terrible, especially last year. The Celtics were smacking the Mavericks. At least in 2023, there were good games. It's just Miami didn't have enough firepower to win more than one game against Denver. Last year was just bad front to back. This year, it's been a little bit of a mixed bag. I don't know what the fix is here. And I understand that the first round in pretty much every sport playoffs aren't the best because you got a lot of teams that probably, if it wasn't for money, don't need to be here in the first place. A lot of AFCs, a lot of wild card teams, and things like that. In fact, we even saw it in hockey this weekend. There was a couple 3-4-0 wins this week as well. Bane, what do you think about the heavy amount of blowouts in the NBA? Now, you really can't control it because, it's good teams and bad teams. But what do you think about do you think they have a blowout problem?
Yeah, because, look, I've said this all season long, that it's hard for me to watch an NBA game because of blowouts. You be watching the game, and then all of a sudden you look, somebody's down by 30, and the game is over with. It's like, this game is over with, so might as well go ahead and move on to something else. I also think it's self-preservation too. I think when a team sees that there's no chance of getting back in, what they end up doing is basically just resting up and getting ready for the next game. And I think that we've already seen this. It's like, oh man, we lost control of this. So let's just go ahead and worry about game 2. So yeah, I do think it's a blowout problem, but I also believe that it's a blowout problem simply because you have teams who are looking to preserve energy for the next day if they really feel like that it's over. Right? I think it was the Knicks game actually, where they was down by a big amount, and they came back. That's a team that I know they're not going, even whether they win or lose, they're not going to be one of those teams because Tibbs is not going to allow them to be one of those teams. But especially when you look at the Memphis Grizzlies, they've already been through upheaval already. The Denver Nuggets, Clippers game was another one. Well, I think they was down by like 15 at one point, but they end up coming back and winning the game. So yeah, they do got a blowout problem. It makes things unsexy, and you really want to feel like that your team is in it or at least going to be competing the whole way. You just don't feel like it, at least for some of those games.
Yeah, and I do believe, it's because of the rise of the three-point shot where these leads happen. And also, reason why there's a lot of comebacks as well. I don't think a 20-point lead is what a 20-point lead used to be. To me, the 20-point lead is the new 10-point lead. It's more about 25-30 where you get really into, you're probably not coming back from this range. But, and I think it's just a problem. I have a hard time watching a basketball game front to back. And, with this, I think you just see the stark difference between the play-in teams and the teams that are actually in there. So for some people who say, the play-in shouldn't be a thing, this gives them a lot of proof behind their argument or evidence.
I'm one of those guys
that say there shouldn't be a play-in. I don't hate the play-in. I personally like it. I do think there's some games that are just ridiculous and what are we doing this for? Maybe there's a way you can reframe it instead of having a tournament, maybe a play-in game. Like, I don't know, something to decide 7th, 8th while having the 10th seed play with a team that 9 times out of 10 should be a lottery team. So,
I can see, look, real quick, I can see if this was like 116, like NCAA tournament. But even when it's 116, fam, I've seen some 16 seeds come out and be way more competitive than some of these NBA teams when we down. Like, it just seems like to me, once a team is down, they just like, fuck it, let's move on and let's self-preserve. But people want to see that fight come out, and they just ain't seeing it.
Yeah, I definitely think that's the case too. I don't know. The NBA has a lot of. He said, "Shout out to Stogie Jet Chat." So I just hit a mini smooth hall on a hall monitor, but I'm here. That's fucking hilarious.
At least look. I'm not saying to do this. I'm not saying this. I'm not condoning this. But shit, at least Jason Tatum got pushed.
Right,
fell on
exactly.
his ass. Like, where's the hard foul?
Yeah. Where's the no layup law? You know what I'm saying? Like, what happened to that? Yeah, I know we sound like old heads right now, but it was just what I saw from Orlando. At least, the Orlando thing was a talent gap. And I think the same thing with the Miami-Cleveland game. Like, if Jimmy Butler's still in that roster, I don't think Cleveland wins that game last night. Yeah. So you see the difference between it. But at least Orlando's like, hey, nigga, y'all niggas ain't getting into the paint. Like, Jaylen Brown And Jason Tatum had a rough game yesterday. That game was won because Derek White went crazy. But let's talk about last night's game that ended the triple header, was it? Quadruple header, whatever. The Golden State Warriors going up against the Houston Rockets. They won 95-85 was the final score. They were up as much as 20 points in this game, but the Rockets did mount a comeback. Even cut it down to as much as 4, but it was just way too much Jimmy buckets and way too much Wardell, Steph, and Curry. They combined for 55 points. And you really saw just a different level of what they are with Jimmy Butler. And this is something we talked about all last week when you was here on Monday and when we did our preview on Friday as well, where Jimmy just brings a different dimension to this team. In the 10-year run of the Golden State Warriors, where they've won 4 NBA championships, they've been to all these conference finals, they've been to all these NBA finals, they had all these deep playoff runs. I mean, this is the 5th or 6th time they played Houston in their era, and this is a different version of that Houston team, which just tells you how long it's been. They've never ever had a player who can get to the free throw line like Jimmy Butler does, and it slows the game down. It makes things easier for Steph Curry, and that's what we saw last night. There was a part even there where Steph is on the bench, and the Jimmy led minutes with Steph on the bench were incredible. And that's also another thing to get. What's the number one problem with the Warriors the last 2 seasons post winning their 4th championship was Klay Thompson not putting up his own weight. Like, you kept hoping that there was some of the old Klay in him, and he'll have a game where he has 25. They'll have another game where he's only 3 for 13 from the 3-point line. You don't have to worry about that with Jimmy Butler because Jimmy Butler is playoff. Jimmy is a real thing. I know people say playoff Jimmy this, playoff Jimmy that. No, it's a real thing. He takes it up to another level. Now, the question is he going to run out of steam? I don't think that's going to be too much of an issue this time because unlike past years, he's not the number one. He's had all these injuries and pushed himself to the limit because he knew his team didn't have a chance without him. He said many times, Steph Curry's Batman. He said it last night in his post-game interview. He's going to be the guy that's going to carry us if we win the NBA championship, and that's what makes it so different. It makes the game easier for Draymond Green. Draymond Green, you say what you want to say about Draymond Green. When it comes to player podcasts, even though I don't really like Draymond's podcast, one thing I can give Draymond credit for is he is a very decorated player. He's gonna walk into the Hall of Fame. So it's not like he's like a Paul George or one of these other niggas who haven't won things yet and they're doing podcasts. And Draymond goes out there and balls out regardless of what's going on. He really looks like he's going to be defensive player of the year. He shut it down. You had Moses Moody, who went from, Kendrick Perkins not even able to pronounce his name when he got drafted to now he's making big shots in the playoffs. And the others were really making things easier for them. But I think the thing that we saw here is what Pappy said on the show on Friday. You missed. I was trying to be like a Bob Costas type of hyping up the series. I'm like, is Jalen Green going to take down the dynasty? And Pap like, stop. Jalen Green is going to go 5 for 22 and not do shit. And what did Jalen Green do yesterday? He had finished with 7 points. They just don't have enough offensively to mess with the team. You're scoring 85 points in regulation in today's NBA. That's not great defense. That's bad offense. And that's exactly what we saw. And that's from even with Sengun doing what he did against Draymond. Jalen Green has to be the guy. And that was the issue we saw last night. And I really think that Steph and Jimmy, look, they're not your typical 7 seed. Really, none of these seeds matter. Because even with Memphis, you can talk about as bad as Memphis was. They were 2 games behind the Lakers for the 3rd seed. So all these teams who made it, these aren't your traditional 7 and 8 seed where they won 38, 39, 40 games. No, the Warriors are a legit contender. And one thing I saw, they jagged that 20-point lead. But now they've got somebody who can slow the game down. When you double step too much or you throw all your body at Steph and you're forcing Draymond to shoot shot. Now you got Jimmy, who's going to do what he does, and it's going to open up everything else for everybody, man. So I loved how the Warriors played. I think they got a legit shot to win it all. What you think about Steph and Jimmy's performance? And we didn't get your prediction on Friday, but because you weren't here, but Do you think it's already over for Houston?
No, I don't think it's over for Houston because Houston is going to be a team that's still going to muddy the waters and stuff. And then when you look at it, first game, playoffs is here. Same thing with Detroit, first game of the playoffs, first time you've been in the playoffs for a little bit, or for these players ever. Um, I try not to say it's over right now because it's still a 7 game series except for the Grizzlies, because the Grizzlies just look like they quit. Um, but no, I don't think that it is over for Houston right now. They have a very capable coach to who can game plan against who he's going against. You didn't get a prediction from me. I have Warriors in 6 for this one right here. But I do think that these next couple of games are going to be very competitive.
And then also one thing you gotta know is one thing the Warriors are gonna do. They're gonna trick off. Like even when they had Kevin Durant and these niggas was world beaters, they're gonna trick off. And I think the one thing you always see on social media, really with any sport that has a 7 game series, game 1, you kind of actually gotta throw out the window for a lot of these series. Not a lot, like you ain't gotta throw this out for Thunder Grizzlies. This is what this shit's gonna be. But for most series, you gotta throw the first game out because they're a filler series. Teams are really starting to learn each other's strengths and their weaknesses and things like that. It's about adjustments. How many times we've seen the team win game 1 and then the rest of the series looks differently? I remember how I felt
exactly
in 2011 when I was at my cousin's house in the Hundreds. We had a barbecue for the 2011 East Conference Finals. The Bulls beat the brakes off the Heat, and I was like, "Yeah, we going to the NBA Finals." The rest of that series did not go how game 1 went at all. We see it time and time again. Who can forget Allen Iverson's legendary 40-point game in game 1 of the NBA Finals, stepping over Tyronn Lue, Philly fans going crazy. Kobe and Shaq said, "Okay, bet," and that was over. You know, or Kevin Mutombo, rest in peace, got bullied that entire series. We've seen it so many times. So I'm with you. There will be adjustments made. But I think there's only so much that Houston can do. And when you have a veteran team like the Warriors, who, let's be quite frank, they're not scared of anybody, especially not a team they dominated so many times. We got to stop using the word rivalry when a team has been bodied by. They have never beaten the Warriors. This is not a rivalry. This is the Warriors owning them since 2015. New regiment, new roster, but still the same thing. So I think the Warriors, if anything, will give the Rockets an opportunity to come back. Wouldn't surprise me if the Rockets mount the floor with them in game 2. That just sounds like a Golden State thing to do, where they look dominant one game, lose by 20 the next, and then like they take the next 2 in Golden State. But I do think that what we're seeing is what Steph and Jimmy can be together. It's actually kind of funny because I remember when the trade happened, a lot of people laughed at this trade because obviously it was a backup because Kevin Durant didn't want to leave the Suns mid-season. Which everybody said the terms have been agreed between Phoenix and Golden State. And even KD said on Dre Pop, I had no problem going to Golden State. He even opened the door for it in the offseason. He just didn't want to move again. And so it's kind of like they settled for Jimmy. But Jimmy's really working. And see Jimmy as a 2. As like a second option, it's going to work so much. That's why I saw from that, man. But let's go to a team, a team that I really enjoyed watching to get the break speed off them, the Los Angeles Lakers. The Los Angeles Lakers lost game 1 of the Western Conference first round to some niggas like that. Minnesota Timberwolves, man. They lost 117-95, man. That score is actually a lot closer than what it should have been. They should have lost by 30 plus, but there was a part there at the end of the third quarter where I think Ant missed like 7 minutes of game time, but it felt like he was actually out for 30 minutes real time because he got a cramp. And that slowly left the Lakers back up in there, man. Anthony Edwards had 22 points, 8 rebounds, 9 assists. But the star of this game, he was Mr. Jaden McDaniels. I remember when everybody loved that quote that Ant said maybe like 2 seasons ago. They got KD, we got Jaden McDaniels. But the last 2 seasons, Jaden McDaniels actually playoffs. Jaden McDaniels been balling out. 25 points, 9 rebounds, 2 assists. Went 3 for 3 from the 3-point line, 11 or 13 from the field, period. he was really, really big. Julius Randle put up 16, 5 and 5. And what we're seeing from Randle and Cat in both of their series since they're on the trade together is so far they're not doing the bonehead things they were doing on either team. I feel like they're kind of adjusting to the roster around them. Gobert didn't play that much because of foul trouble. That's something that they're going to have to work on. But real good effort. Nas Reed was huge. Nas Reed, 23 points, 5 rebounds off the bench. They had 44 points off their bench. Lakers had 13. I said on Friday that it wasn't about the stars in this series. LeBron James, Luka Doncic, Anthony Edwards, Julius Randle, they're going to cancel each other out. The who's going to win was going to be off the others and the rebounding battle. The rebounding battle, which also the Lakers lost. You have the Minnesota had 44 rebounds. The Lakers had 38. So that was the difference right there as well. And LeBron James looked all of his age on Saturday. LeBron had only 19 points. He was 8 of 18 from the field. His energy looked like he kind of was tired. It wasn't like one of those LeBron just missing stuff type of games. It looked like he was playing like a regular season game. Luka had 37, but if you actually watch the game, it was not a good looking game whatsoever. But the problem here is what I feel like I've all been saying. The bigs, what are the bigs going to give? Jackson Hayes had 1 point. You know what I'm saying? What are you going to give? The bench gave them absolutely nothing. You can't have 13 bench points, my nigga. Like that can't happen whatsoever. And I do think things have changed as well. But this is something where the Lakers find themselves in a situation here because you got the team in Minnesota. If you look at the last 6 weeks, I don't think there's been really many teams outside the Clippers who have played better basketball than them. They played just like the team that made it all the way to the Western Conference Finals last year. And they know what it takes to win now. This is not a situation where Anthony Edwards and them are a young team and they're what's where I'm looking for, intimidated by the Lakers. I love the press conference. Well, Ant and Julia sitting there and they asked them what do you feel about people who say y'all had no chance? He's like, look, keep picking the Lakers. They supposed to win, we supposed to lose. That's just how it goes. They know what kind of time it is. And the Lakers, I said this on Friday, they can't come out on no cute stuff. They definitely can't come out on cute stuff on Wednesday. Well, not Wednesday, but tomorrow. Because Minnesota can take 2. And then you go down to Minnesota down 0-2, you're really in a problem. I think the Lakers will be prepared. And we saw a lot of wild mistakes by J.J. Redick, which is another thing I pointed out on Friday. He, as great as the season he had, way better season than I thought he would. He's still a rookie coach in his first postseason. My question to you, Bang, is how much trouble are the Lakers in?
I'll answer that question fully after game 2. Whether they win or lose, I answer it fully after game 2. Because again, you got Luka and you got LeBron James. You got 2 of the greatest players of all time. You got the face of the league and the face of the franchise in those 2. The thing is, though, is how many dogs do the Lakers got?
Not a lot of dogs.
That to me is the question before we anoint the Lakers as before we anoint the Lakers as the Western Conference Finals favorite, that they can beat OKC or that they could beat Houston if they were to be in the series with them. Those are the top 2 seeds there. How many dogs do the Lakers truly got?
I would say it'd be LeBron, Luka. And that's not. I'm trying to think. Vando's a dog defensively. He's one of the worst offensive players I've seen in my life. But it's maybe 4.
That's my thing about the Lakers versus Minnesota. The Lakers versus anybody that they go against probably right now, depending on who gets there against them. If they defeat Minnesota, the dog aspect. Like Jaden McDaniel's a dog. Excuse me. Not only is he gonna muck up the game, he will get you. And also shouts out to the people at WrestleMania this weekend that had Nas Reed sign at WrestleMania.
Nas Reed sign.
Yeah, they had a Nas Reed sign at WrestleMania. A blue and white Nas Reed sign.
What did the sign say?
Big as hell too. Nas Reed.
That's funny as shit.
And this ain't the first time, and this ain't the first time that it's happened. But they got ant and dogs. And what's funny, please, when I say this, just listen to what I'm about to say. I'm not comparing the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Chicago Bulls championship teams. I'm not. I'm saying when we look at those teams, and actually when you look at any team that has won championships, you could talk about Big Three or Rich Paul Big 2.5, however you want to put it. But it's the people who you surround the star with. And the Bulls had dogs. They had Mike, they had Scotty, they had dogs. Utah, Karl Malone, John Stockton, dogs. Lakers, Shaq, Kobe, dogs. Houston Rockets, Hakeem Olajuwon, dogs. Even if you go to the bubble, LeBron James, AD, dogs. Golden State, Big Three, dogs. I asked you, who are the dogs that the Lakers got? And you couldn't answer it.
Yeah, I came up with
That's
like
what's missing.
One of their dogs was their coach.
Right. That's what's missing. And this is playoff time now. So now we're going to really see if JJ Redick know how to coach up. Like what happens in the 7-game series when you look at Rui Hachimura and you got to be like, wake your puss ass up. Is he going to wake up? Like that's the difference between the Lakers and the Timberwolves. And when you add to the fact that they went to the Western Conference Finals last year with these same dogs, basically. Like, yeah, Rudy Gobert, I expect Rudy Gobert to be in foul trouble the whole series.
Pick and roll.
Right, because he's 7'5" and shit, got to guard a wing now because it's small ball. But what happens when Nas and McDaniels and some of these other folks muck up the game? Do you have the people on the Lakers outside of LeBron James and Luka that's going to fight back? Not so sure. I still picking the Lakers to win this series. And in fact, I got them in 7 for that reason. I think the talent is going to win out. But the other part of this dog thing is that the biggest one is the Georgia Bulldog himself, Anthony Edwards.
Yep. And what you just said is what LeBron alluded to in his post-game press conference. He said, we underestimated the physicality. We learned very, very quickly what it was going to be like, and we'll adjust that. And I'm going to say this about Luka. I love Luka. Luka's one of my favorite players. But what we're seeing here is the same thing we've seen in the last couple playoffs. He's going to give you offensive numbers, but the defensive effort is a problem. How many wide open threes did Jay McDaniels have? How much space did Luka give Anthony Edwards? I think LeBron is is a really good defender. I don't even think he gets the credit he probably deserves defensively in his entire career. He can't check that young boy at this age. This ain't 2013, 2011 Bron where, put him on Derrick Rose. There's no more of that. Ant will tear that boy up. And that's what we're seeing. And then I've been one of Julius Randle's biggest critics. One of Julius Randle's biggest critics. But he's a dog. I think Julius' biggest issue is he thinks he's too much of a dog, and he starts playing hero ball. Now, that was something that in New York was a problem because he needed to be. Pre-Jalen Brunson, he needed to be the one who won the games for him. That's not an issue here. He's been playing his role and doing it well. He didn't have that many shot attempts in this game, and that's what made this easier for them. And the Lakers, I picked the Lakers in 7. I'm sticking with Lakers in 7. Unless they lose tomorrow. If they lose tomorrow, I'm not so confident this thing comes back to the Staples Center because then they're going to smell blood. This is a team, I think people forget already. These niggas looked the Denver Nuggets in the eyes and blew them out on their home court last year. And it was like, nah, this is it. A team that has always watched the Lakers. So I think the biggest issue, not only this year, but going forward for the Lakers when you're building around Luka, is you're going to have great defenders around him because he's just not a good defender. But I think the thing that makes me angry about Luka isn't the fact that you're a bad defender. It's the fact I feel like he don't try. And I feel like there's too much effort on the offensive side of the ball, and he don't really do it defensively. If the Wolves getting these looks on game 2, God bless. And what I also, the last point, then we'll move on to the Clippers Nuggets game. Everybody was making so much of the Lakers beating the Thunder a couple weeks ago. I was like, these niggas are not going to shoot that well from 3 like that. The Lakers rely on shots. Since Rui Hachimura has become a Laker, he has been ass in the playoffs. Vando is great defensively, but he's so bad offensively that sometimes you can't play him. Gabe Vincent, outside of that one playoff in Miami 2 years ago, he looked like the second coming of Allen Iverson. He just is what he is. You're going to need these other guys to step up. And I think that we're going to have a massive LeBron and Luka game tomorrow. I think LeBron's going to come out smoking in game 2.
Real quick, on the Luka thing, see, the issue is that he's not a tenacious defender. He's a dog on the offensive side, but he's not on the defensive side. And even on the offensive side of the ball, when you start mucking up that game, he's going to start complaining to the refs and shit too. So if we get here's the thing about Luka. The biggest reason why I don't feel like we've seen everything that Luka could give you is because of everything that I just said. My question to LeBron James is, what is he going to be able to do? Or what does he have to do to get Luka to reach his potential?
Yeah.
Like this, I think this is, I wish I would have had a chance to say this on Friday, but this is, as much as we know that this Dallas Mavericks trade was dumb as hell. It was the dumbest trade quite possibly in NBA history. And each time we hear Nico Harrison, somebody from the Dallas Mavericks organization.
They keep throwing that nigga in front of the media, man.
Yeah, like anytime we see anything around this, it makes the Dallas Mavericks look more stupider. With that being said, we gonna find out how much of a bad trade this was to me this offseason.
Mm-hmm.
Because Luka has all the ammunition, all of the motivation in the world to have an epic playoff run. He has every bit of motivation. They don't even know why they traded you, fam.
Yeah.
They can't even give a real valid reason. The owner, we have the general manager that's saying that I knew Luka was big out here in Dallas, but I underestimated how big it was. I know it was that big. You got ownership reportedly mad at Nico Harrison because he wasn't able to be like, yo, you make a trade like this, it's a mistake because the fans is going yada, yada, yada. This, to me, makes it hard to believe that Luka is not going to have a dominant postseason or playoff season. With that being said, whatever Shannon Sharp be saying on First Take, Lakers in 5.
Lakers in 5.
That shit need to start game 2. Because if Luka does not have that, it's really going to prove the Dallas Mavericks right. They just did it in a dumbass way.
And I think, too, like LeBron, I think LeBron came out passive because LeBron wants Luka to be the number one. Everybody in the Lakers want to be number one. LeBron wants to be Kareem during the Magic era. I'm going to let you take the front seat. And Luka did do that offensively, but I really think Brian going to give it 5 minutes in game 2. He going to see what kind of time it is before he goes in the full-on Bron mode. And then he puts up a crazy game. We up here doing what we usually, you're 22. That's what I think is going to happen in game 2, man. But I do expect the Lakers to win. I expect them to win by double digits. But if they don't, they might not leave Minnesota alive. Josh in the chat says some good basketball this weekend. But all that got overshadowed by this baby gravy controversy with Shannon. I'm not gonna spend much time with that, but Shannon a wild nigga. That's all I'm gonna say on that. Shannon a wild nigga, man. Let's go to another Los Angeles team, Los Angeles Clippers. They have game 2 against the Denver Nuggets tonight. This is the best game of the weekend, man. They won 112-110 in overtime. Nikola Jokic had 29 points, 9 assists, 12 assists, 9 rebounds, shot 50% from the field. But this and a big game from Jamal Murray, 21, 9, and 7. But our God, Mr. Russell Westbrook. 15 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals off the bench. He went 5-17 for the field. This was, you had the total Russ experience the last couple minutes of regulation and overtime, where he looks great, and then the next moment you like, nigga, what are you doing? But he got out there, made a big 3-pointer, had some key blocks in there, man. Big game for Russ. And then also about the Clippers. On the Clippers side, these niggas had like a 17-point lead. Blew a 17-point lead. Harden had 32, 6, and 11. Kawhi had 22, 6, and 2. Zubac had a great game, 21 and 13. Bench didn't do anything, which I think was a major problem here. Norman Powell didn't really do anything as well. But I came out of this game thinking this. Nikola Jokic is the most unstoppable force in the NBA we've seen since Shaquille O'Neal. And Shaq is a better defender. Obviously, I know people get upset when I say this, but Nikola Jokic even affects the game more than Shaq does because he does everything. Like even that pass to Russ, which made it, which gave them the lead. It was like a round the world pass. It's like, how do you stop this guy? Like Zubac played as best you possibly could, and it didn't matter. Now the issue is the Clippers clipped again, and this is why I haven't been buying all this Clippers. Like I've covered this team for 3 years. I covered this basketball team. And not only just these 3 years, if you look through the history of the franchise, they're going to find a way to mess it up. James Harden, late game turnovers, which he has been doing in the playoffs since the 2012 NBA Finals. That's what he does. That's who James Harden is. And Kawhi Leonard looks very timid at the end of the game, which was weird. He looked healthy. I'm glad we haven't gotten any alert that says he's out for game 2. So that's good. But I won't say the Clippers blew their shot at it because Denver, this is still very that's what I'm looking for. Inconsistent Nugget team. And they very well could have lost this game. I still think this is gonna be a long series. But what you're seeing right here is why people don't trust the Clippers, because they're always leaving the door cracked and letting somebody like Russell Westbrook beat them, man. What do you expect to hear from game 2? And what are your thoughts on this on game 1?
Man, see the Clippers was that team where I had to figure it out by listening to the others and talk about how Kawhi is as healthy as he's been. You got Norman Powell over there. If you get the old James Harden and all of that stuff. So I started to become sympathetic to the Clippers until the Clippers ended up having to go up against Denver. So I'm going to say everything you said was right. I think the biggest thing here is this is probably the only series that I wish that the two teams that are going against each other were not. Seeding and how things are going to go is going to put two teams that didn't need to be playing against each other because they was both hot. Denver wasn't necessarily hot. They got rid of their coach, but it's still the Denver Nuggets. And the Clippers are playing as best of a season that they've had in quite some time because everybody is healthy. So even though the Clippers are one of those teams where it's like they can't get out of their own way or something always happens, you still want to see if it can actually happen if everybody's healthy. So I'd rather them go up against, I'd rather the Clippers get the 3 seed or the 2 seed. In fact, I'd rather your 4th and 5th seed be the Lakers versus the Warriors, so we could get this LeBron James, Steph Curry fanfare out the way. It's just hard for me to prognosticate or have any conversations about this series. One, because I wish they was going up against each other, I wish they was going up against each other in the second round, not the first. And two, because of all of that, it's just so much stuff going on with both of these teams. Fire coach with the Nuggets. Everybody's healthy over here with the Clippers, but you're wondering if Kawhi Leonard is going to get hurt sooner rather than later. But then what if you play a 7-game series and Kawhi don't get hurt and they end up losing? It's like, damn, we probably got robbed of a possible joint because you went up against a juggernaut that is Joker. And Jamal, just that team in general with him on there. So I just hate that they're going up against each other. This is not a real 4-5 to me. No, this is a 2-3 type of matchup in the second round. In the second round.
And if you look at Jokic, I want to talk about Jokic real quick because they announced the award nominations yesterday on Inside the NBA, which is quite hilarious when they announced the Defensive Player of the Year, Hakeem Olajuwon Award, and Chuck was like, "Oh yeah, the guy who helped you get your ring." He said, "Boy, you didn't do nothing but drain his water during Ramadan," which was funny as hell. But when they were talking about the MVP, so the MVP nominee has been announced: Jokic, SGA, and Giannis. And I'm just like, look, like I've been saying, it's very clear who the best player in the NBA is. It's Jokic. Like, I understand what SGA did, and I'm not gonna have a problem if SGA is the MVP like we all expect. But Jokic is so clearly the best player in the NBA. Like, I think there's a sizable gap between him and whoever you think is number 2. And we see that consistently. Like, he just affects the way the game is so much that when I think about where I would put him all time with other centers, it feels like I'm being disrespectful to other centers. Well, really, I can't think of the last center to me who could do as much as Joker does, but obviously is better defender. It is Hakeem Olajuwon. Like, Hakeem was able to pass. Hakeem was able to score in many ways. Hakeem couldn't shoot a 3 like Joker could, but that's obviously a different era. But he just does so many things that Shaq couldn't do, that David Robinson couldn't do, that Bill Russell couldn't do, that even Wilt Chamberlain couldn't do. So when you talk about the list, it makes it disrespectful. But I do believe we're maybe a ring away for having to have those uncomfortable conversations. And no, they're not going to win the championship this year. But if they mess around and find it in the West Conference Finals, it's going to be strictly because of how good Nikola Jokic is.
Niggas need to stop playing and have that uncomfortable conversation now. Jokic is I've been around since 1982, been watching sports since 1987, basketball specifically since 1987. I'm sorry. Joker is the best center I've ever seen in my life. And it's everything that we say. But here's the other thing. Jokic is proven to us how injuries and Russia-U.S. relations robbed us of Arvydas Sabonis.
Yeah, that's true.
Because every time I watch Joker play, I say, damn, this is what Arvydas Sabonis healthy was supposed to be doing? Like, he had a 60-point triple-double in a meaningful basketball game. And the
third player in NBA history to average a triple-double, and the only non-guard.
Right, and he's right, and he did that in the season, but he had a 60-point triple-double. And when you look at Joker, fam, he looks like 7-foot me. Like, if somebody tell me his off-season regimen
is drinking beer and watching his horses.
Right. This man literally is he's the throwback of the 80s when you look at Arvydas Sabonis. And I'm telling you, them dudes didn't go play basketball. Like, them dudes in Russia wasn't doing what goddamn dude on Rocky IV was doing, what Drago was doing. Them niggas was hooping and go getting beer and getting Russian bitches. Joker is that. Like, Joker is the second coming of Arvydas Sabonis. And like I said, injuries and U.S.-Russia relations rob.
Think your mic went out, brother.
Yes, it did. I
There
hit
we
the
go.
joint
Yeah,
by accident.
okay.
But yeah, you can talk. Yeah, Bang, you that's blasphemy. Akeem Olajuwon, Shaq, David Robinson. Sorry, fam.
Yeah,
They getting washed.
yeah.
Career wise, there's no center you grew up watching that has done what Joker did. That you grew up watching.
I've been watching basketball since 1995, 96 season. That was the first year I actually sat down and watched sports, actually knowing what I'm not knowing. I didn't know the game like that. Obviously, I was 7 years old, but it wasn't like when I was younger watching with my grandfather and I didn't know what the fuck I was watching. But since that time, I've seen the Shaqs, the David Robinsons, the Dwight Howard. This nigga's different, bro. He just different. And I know we all do the, oh man, well, appreciate what you watching. No, but honestly, this is some video game stuff that when 10, 15 years down the line, we're going to be telling our kids or their kids what Joker was doing. It's going to be like, oh, we watch that every night. So that's just, and I also think it's because he's not black or American that we're hesitant to give him that title.
It's because he's not black. He's not American. He's not loud and bro. Like, he hoops and probably mumbles under his breath.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Unassuming dude.
I forgot somebody said the Joker told him that's not gonna work, brother. Something like that. Denver should be all in for KD. No, Denver should be all in for shooters. That's what. And niggas they don't need Kevin Durant, not at all. But let's one last NBA topic. Then we gonna preview the NFL draft. Man, the Clippers, not Clippers, but the Pistons. Pistons, man, looked like they was gonna win Game 1. I was like, oh. The Pistons don't look like they've been afraid. They look like this is their moment. They've been here before. They were really punching the Knicks in the mouth. A great game from their bench and a lot of their others, man. You had Malik Beasley off the bench, 20 points, went 6 for 12 from the three-point line. You had Tim Hardaway Jr. had a massive game off the bench. Not the massive game off the bench, but 19 points. Kate Cunningham started off real slow, but had 21, 12, and 6. And they looked like they were going to win that game. And then the fourth quarter came. And I don't know what them niggas did. They took their foot. They didn't take their foot off the gas. The Knicks took their foot off the gas. 21-0 run. Cameron Payne. Yes, Cameron Payne, who couldn't get off the bench in Chicago, hit like 5 threes in that fourth quarter to open the game up for Jalen Brunson, and Jalen Brunson did what Jalen Brunson did. And I also think when it comes to uncomfortable conversations, we need to talk about the fact that Jalen Brunson is a better Nick than Carmelo Anthony, but that's neither here nor there. Like, I know people don't want to have that conversation either, but what he's doing is remarkable. And they took that game away from the Pistons. I do think the Pistons, I won't say they're cooked, but man, they blew a golden opportunity. It went from this series, I said it was going to be Knicks in 6. I think it's just going to be a 5-gamer now. I'm really interested to see how they bounce back tonight. Bang, any quick thoughts on this Pistons Knicks series so far?
All I can say is that I did go on there last time I was on here and talked about how the Detroit Pistons will put your foot on your necks, call you a bitch in front of your grandmother, and they had the opportunity to do it, and they didn't.
And they didn't.
So there's that. But no. I still think this is another series that's going 7. And I'm still picking Detroit in this too. Because again, the energy that you got to expound when you having to come back from that, it's gonna run out when it comes to the Knicks. So I'm still banking on the fact that they ain't gonna have enough energy to go up against these young boys like that.
All right, man, let's move on to the NFL, man. It is NFL draft week. Speaking of NFL draft week, we are having the 3rd annual, I'm not going to hold you, NFL draft reaction special. As you can see here, man, it will be Thursday at 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific on Barber Network and HD Media TV. Me, Bang, Courtney, and Dante will give our reactions to the first 10 picks in the draft, man. This is the first NFL. I don't know how you feel about this, but this is the first draft for the Bears in a long time where I don't want to say I don't care, but I really feel like there's really no wrong decision at pick 10. Now, there's been a lot of rumors today, Bleacher Report and Adam Schefter, who I kind of feel like he's on the Bears payroll. Like, I personally have never seen Shefty at Hallis Hall, but that nigga be on all of their vlogs. He be on all their vlogs, and the last couple of Bears announcements have come from Adam Schefter. But they've all said the Bears are quote-unquote praying for Ashton Jeanty to be available at pick 10. Now, Rich Eisen, Tom Pelissero said that there's a lot of people who have an idea of what the first 10 picks are going to look like, but they're expecting the unexpected. And then you also have Courtney Cronin came out this morning on Friends of the Program, Captain J Hoodie, this morning saying that she says no shot at the Bears make a blockbuster trade. But they are very thirsty for Ashton Jeanty, and we know how thirsty Ryan Poles gets when he wants his guy. He almost traded up to get Roma Dunze last year until Ian Cunningham told him, yo, chill out a little bit. But we're hearing that Ben Johnson loves Ashton Jeanty. The Bears love Ashton Jeanty. And they want to run a two-back system with him and DeAndre Swift, just like Ben Johnson had with Demo and Jahmyr Gibbs in Detroit. This is interesting to me because I feel like Jeanty is the as much as we hear about running backs and quarterbacks, and Ben, you've been saying this for months that you feel like this is not the best QB class. Jeanty feels like the most safe bet out of the top picks because I have questions about Abdul Carter's injury. And so that's probably why he's the most sure thing to me. What do you feel about these reports coming out that said the Bears are praying that he's available at 10?
Man, look, we're in peak lion season now. And we're in peak lion season right now. It's gonna be a lot of stuff that gets thrown around there. But I do think that the Bears are in love with Ashton Jeanty. I felt that way when you saw Caleb with him. Like, Caleb don't look like that person is just gonna be quiet. Like, nah, hey man, we need to figure out a way of doing this. But at 10, I don't think I'm not sure he drops. But I'm also saying that if he gets past the Raiders, he's going to be at 10. And I'm not so sure that the Raiders are going to be going into this going to get a running back when they need help on that offensive line too. And Cam Ward, number 1 pick. Travis Hunter at corner and wide receiver, since that's how he wants to be announced. Feels like he's the number 2 pick. The number 3 pick can go either way. I still think Shedeur is in New York because I think that's going to be an ownership pick. And the Mara family is going to be like, yo, let's get a black guy for the first time in the draft this high. I bet. I feel like this pick is going to be out of Brian Daboll's and what's his last name? Joe Schoen.
Joe Schoen.
Yeah, the GM of the New York Giants. And really, if you were to ask that, go look at TV. Go look at Hard Knocks. Go look at what he said and what would have happened if he loses Saquon Barkley in the division, and you look and see what happened, and he won a Super Bowl. I think that with these 2 guys on the hot seat, I think the Marr family is going to step in and make that decision. So then when you go to New England, you get Abdul Carter right there. I think that Mike Vrabel would love him. I was reading on ESPN and The Athletic and how they were saying that Mason Graham from Michigan, he might not be the pick. He seems like the safest, and they do. But their defensive line is pretty decent. It's like, so why do you need to go get him?
Well, Rich Eisen said today he thinks Will Campbell. He's hearing Will Campbell is going to go to New England because they want to pass. They want to focus on protecting Drake May, and that says even if they have to give up a sure thing that they feel like a Travis Hunter or Ashton Jeanty or something like that, they're looking at Will Campbell. which I thought was nuts.
Okay. So wait a minute. So here, all right. So because I didn't see Rich Eisen today, but here's the thing: if you do go get Will Campbell at that pick, I mean, he's still in somebody in the trenches. I think they won't go wrong with grabbing anybody in the trenches. So if that were to happen, you damn well better believe Jacksonville is getting Abdul Carter. You damn well better believe it. So then, if I'm the Raiders, I'm like, oh, if I pair Graham with Wilkins, and you got Max Crosby right there too, this might be a little bit sexy. I don't think this team, the running back position you're gonna get a good one well into the second and third round. So I don't think that the Raiders are gonna feel like they have to get Jeanty. Now, with that being said, if he gets past them, I think the Bears get their man. But I think my biggest question is if Jeanty does not fall, what do the Bears do? Like, could a team trade up to go grab one of the quarterbacks? Is that a possibility at 10? But then let's say, for instance, right now, if you're looking at the draft board and you have Mason Graham, you have Amiibo at Missouri, or even somebody like a Will Johnson. The reason why I bring up a Will Johnson is because of the news that came out early last week about how Dennis Allen would love to see Kyler playing one of those top.
Now that would piss me off. I'm sorry. They tried the corner at 10, I'll be high. That's the only way I would be high. Because that's not a need.
I feel you. That's not a need. But I'm looking into the second and third rounds. And what happens when one of those players you can't get? Now you got to stare directly into best player available. If you feel that strongly about Braxton Jones is settled at that left tackle spot. So you're not going to go get nobody. And then from all accounts, what they even been saying from Hinsdale folks, like they said, Hinsdale folks actually look like if he gets some reps in the
I'm not out on him. He was rookie. He was put in a bad situation.
Right. Yeah.
I don't think Braxton is a guy at all.
Right. That's what I'm saying. I feel like if they, with some of these people they've gotten a hold to, they might go, well, nah. And that's why the Kyler Gordon thing stuck in my head, because I'm like, Jaquan Brisker is in the last year of, I think, his rookie deal, and he's not been healthy. You don't have to waste a late round pick on the safety, but you could go get you another cornerback. And even if Tyreek Stevenson, who's been a head case, what if he don't work out? That's what I was thinking about. So I say all that to say, I will not be shocked if Will Johnson is the pick. Because if you're not good on Tyreek Stevenson, especially if you're this coaching staff and you saw what he did with the last one, and you have a bit of concern if he's a head case, is he going to be in it? Can Dennis Allen work with this guy? I would not be surprised if that is the guy and Tyreek Stevenson is not here either this year or next year. I still think if Jeanty is there, they get him, or they go get it's been enough Warren smoke around the Bears where I would not be surprised if he's the pick too. But the one person outside of that core group, if he's picked by the Bears, I'd be like, oh, something's up with somebody else. That's Will Johnson because of Jaquan Brisker and Tyreek Stevenson.
You bring up some very good points. I think, like, when I said that I wouldn't be upset about that will upset me. And all the points that you're saying are valid. I get all of that. I have no problem drafting a corner or a safety. Do that in the second or third round. To me, for a number 10 pick, it's got to be either on the offensive side of the ball or on the defensive side of the ball as far as being in the trenches. That's a thing that kind of, but first, I'm going to put this out there. I know let's say the Bears did jump up. Now, Courtney Cronin says that she would be shocked if they jumped up, and Courtney is very tapped in. So if she says it's not going to happen, 9 times out of 10, it's not going to happen. But if they get a sense that somebody else is going to get Jeanty, to me, that comes down to how bad Ben Johnson really wants him. If Ben Johnson said, like, that's my guy, that's the man we've got to get, I believe that trade up. To me, this is Ben Johnson's draft. Ryan Poles, in my opinion, more misses the hits in his 3 previous drafts. I think he's letting, obviously he makes final decision. He don't sign the check. He's the general manager and things like that. But I think Ben Johnson has tremendous influence here. And to me, the pick is either going to be Jeanty or one of those guys who dropped. Because if this Will Campbell rumors that Rich Eisen is saying is true, then you won't have some of the other picks available. It would stun me if they go secondary at pick 10. Just because of the way they framed this offseason, just because of the coach that they hired. That would shock me despite all of the valid reasons that you just named. And ultimately, I think where it's going to end up at is I do think there's going to be either Jeanty or defensive lineman because it sounds like Will Campbell will be gone. So I think they're either going to trade up. I see no world where Jeanty is just straight up available at 10. I would be shocked. Because then you're gonna have to get through the Jacksonvilles. You're gonna get through Vegas, which is real heavy on him. That would surprise me.
Like I said, it would have surprised me if they didn't, if Allen didn't say what he said about Gordon. But when he said that, Tyreek Stevenson was the person I was the most worried about. He was the person I was most worried about. But then I was like, man, Jaquan and his health. One of them two, if this were to happen, one of them two fighting for their job.
Well, here's a question I have for you. Let's just say that does happen. How would you personally feel about it?
I wouldn't be mad about it at all. And the reason why I wouldn't be mad about it at all is because those 2 second-round picks. Like, as much as I want Jeanty, I think one of them boys at Ohio State is going to be.
One of them boys is
Henderson.
Nice. Yeah. Nice.
If we could get Henderson, I think we'd be straight. I wouldn't even be mad at Johnson at Iowa. Running back is the position of gold, one of those gold positions in this draft. When they say you don't have to go number 1 to get a good running back, I think we're going to look. Matter of fact, I'll go on record as saying if we're going to look at this draft, and we're going to say this is a draft that brought the running back position back. To me, this is going to be the draft that brings that position back. Because even with Robinson at the Falcons, CMC, and Barkley, they were the ones. Like, they were the ones, and they were like, you find somebody in the 4th round. They were the ones. You got Jeanty, you got Hampton at UNC, who's probably going to go top 15. You got both of them boys at Ohio State. You got Jackson, Johnson from Iowa. And you got a couple of other ones that they say that'd be good fits in 3rd and 4th round too. This is going to be the draft that puts the spotlight back on the running back position. So if I'm the Bears and I say, okay, if I look at my board and I say, okay, Will Johnson is the guy, I know going into the 2nd round, I got to go trenches and running back. And they're going to be available. It's not going to be a run of running backs. So if Henderson at Ohio State is available, boom. I forgot my man's name, but from Missouri. Not Missouri, Minnesota. But been hearing a lot of good things from him at the left tackle spot. Like, I think if you go that route, that means that Tyreek Stevenson is getting traded probably soon, probably in this draft, and you're going to get some extra picks of him that's going to supplement that. But you don't say, I will say this, you don't say what Dennis Allen said about Kyler Gordon if you're not looking to upgrade in the defensive backfield, because you know what you got, and you've been using him solely as a nickel. But since you've been using him solely as a nickel and you feel like he's talented enough, and Dennis Allen gets a lot out of his cornerbacks, you see gold in that man right there. And you see more in him he's more than a nickel. He's more than a nickel. But you got him at nickel price as well. That's something else to think about too. So it just really depends on how the board shakes out. But no, I wouldn't be shocked if the Bears went Will Johnson, because that means that what Dennis Allen said was true, that they're looking at Kyler Gordon to do more. And if he's going to have to do more, somebody going to have to go.
Final prediction for me. Some tells me they're going to get Ashton Jeanty, whether they trade up or not. That's my final prediction. Ultimately, unless it's a corner, I don't say I'll be hot, because I am in trust the new coaching staff, but I will not be happy. I'll put it that much. Is that your final prediction? They go corner?
No, I think it's just depending on how the board shakes out, but I do believe that Jeanty is not. I don't believe that Jeanty is going to go to the Raiders. I don't. I can see the Raiders saying, "Yo, as much as we love Jeanty, that's too rich for our blood. We need to go in the trenches, and we need to solidify making sure that Geno Smith is healthy." If he does not go to the Raiders, then the Bears will be announcing Jeanty as their first pick, 10th overall in the NFL draft, and we will be excited.
And Shedeur Sanders, final Shedeur picks. Something's telling me he's going to New York. I'm with you. Something telling me he's going to New York. Like, I hear the Steelers trade up. I can hear that. I can see that. Something telling me he's going to New York. I don't, even though it is kind of weird that he was not invited to Green Bay to be one of the quarterbacks there. Your boy, Jackson Dart, got invited. But we're also hearing that when Rich Eisen also said today, he's hearing that Dart is going to fall to the second round. And he's also hearing that don't buy the Shedeur dropping thing. So it's going to be a real interesting day. By the way, if you want to see our live reaction to it, Thursday, 7:30 Eastern Time, 4:30 Pacific, the 2025 NFL Draft reaction special on I'm Not Gonna Hold You. If we get Ashton Jeanty, will I knock over my computer? Will I do that? Tune in to see that, man. So, Bang, that's it for you today. You can enjoy the rest of your day. You can follow Bang at JR Bang. I'm looking forward to hearing a more in-depth breakdown of your weekend when we do summer sessions on Wednesday. Anything you want people know? Any first black champ, some dude this week?
I mean, no first black champ, because we were all drunk on Saturday. But we do got an episode of some dude coming this week. And we're gonna be recapping WrestleMania 41 next week. So we giving it a week to digest. Gonna watch it a couple of times, because we was taking care of business and stuff. But
celebrating Black love.
Celebrating Black love, man. Like I said, man, shouts out to my wife. 10 years of wedded bliss, 14 years of being ultimately together. And oh, let me say this.
Yeah.
Again, emotional bang is a new thing.
Emotional bang is a new thing.
Emotional bang is a new thing, man. I had so many people crying or damn near crying, and my wife did too, as we exchanged our vows and stuff. So emotional bang is a good thing. But yep, see y'all. Hey, I wish I watched enough soccer to join you and Tosin, but I'm not ever gonna do that. So I appreciate
I once said that too. Now look at me. We're gonna take a quick 1-minute break, man. On the other end, Tosin will be joining us for the second edition of Soccer for Dummies, man. So we'll be right back here on I'm Not Gonna.
So cool.
Triple double hat trick, I know the code too. Ice trade, go for trade, yeah we cold too. Getting paper on these player haters, old news. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line, so I'm not.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, here on I'm Not Gonna Hold You, man. We got the homie Tosin back in here, man. You can follow him, as you see on the screen, at Tosin, but that is what Tosin M, but with a 0 in the name,
Yeah.
man. You can follow him on there. And of course, you can get in tune with his podcast, Shirtless Plantain Show, as you can see on the screen at Shirtless Plantain Show on all social media platforms, man. Tell us how you feeling, brother.
I'm good. I literally just came back from seeing Sinners the second time.
The second time. I've yet to
Bro.
see it. I will see it this weekend.
Let me tell you something. That movie is everything they say it is, and then some. I had to go see it the second time. So
did you see it in IMAX, or you just went to the regular joint?
I got 70 millimeter. I didn't go see IMAX, but 70 millimeter the second time I saw it. But it's special. It's really special. I'm
going to see it this weekend. I'm going to find me a nice, quiet movie theater in the Valley. Wait, I don't want to go see the Chinese theater in Hollywood or none of that. I'm going to go see it in the Valley this weekend. But we're here for another edition of Soccer for Dummies here on I'm Not Gonna Hold You. Shout out to everybody who watched the first edition, man. We got a lot of good feedback on that. It was one of our most viewed clips of the week last week, man. So shout out to everybody on there, man. Man, it was a very interesting weekend of football and interesting week in football with Premier League, with Champions League. I had my first Europa League this week, which was crazy on Thursday. Shout out to the NFL Red Zone style option they got on Paramount Plus. They also had the second. What's the name of the competition that's under Europa League that Chelsea was in?
Conference League?
Yeah, the Conference League. They had that up in there too. Very interesting, everything going on. Very interesting week for your Manchester United. Had a crazy comeback win in the Europa against is it Lyon or Lyon? How you pronounce that?
Lyon.
5-4, aggregate score being 7-6. And then losing 1-0 to the Wolves yesterday at Old Trafford. Explain the week from the highest of highs. First of all, I didn't know I had that many homies who are Manchester United fans. Yeah. Now I understand why so many niggas were disappointed about me being an Arsenal fan. But tell me, what was just how the week went for you?
I mean, I'm not gonna hold you. When I saw it's up 2-0, right? I was like, all right, cool. You know, we got this in the bag. And then all of a sudden, we end up letting 2 in, and then they end up being 4-2. I'm like, all right, what are we doing here? Like this is just a stereotypical shit of what's been happening the last, like, I don't know, last decade plus with Man United. Winning that game was just insane. I think that there is that drive in the team to want to do better, but they're just not good enough to do better. I think that they are good in Europa because they're a little bit more physical than most teams, but they're not that physical in the Premier League. So it was weird. And then Sunday we rotated a little bit heavier. We played well for the most part. Just players can't put away their chances. So it wasn't really a shock that we lost because that's what Man United have done. They're undefeated in Europa League, but they have lost 15 games in the Premier League. So it's just a weird juxtaposition with this team this year. It's so high and so low. There's no in between.
Yeah, I can see that as well. And the thing too, by the way, I'll put this out here for everybody out there following me on Twitter. Y'all got like 2 more days to say, oh my God, you watch soccer? I felt like that scene in Iron Man where we noticed that it wasn't Terrence Howard being Rhodey anymore, and he told Tony, I'm here now. Let's move on. That's how I feel right now. Leave me alone. All right. Like, yeah, I'm 6 weeks in now. All right. Yeah. You know, so I've learned a lot. You know what I spent my weekend doing this weekend? I went to the crates. Shout out to YouTube, man. I found a lot of them old season review videos and stuff like that. I've been doing all my Arsenal history and also league history. I saw an incredible documentary this week I text you about. 99, 3-part documentary on Manchester United's treble season, which to me is one of the best soccer documentaries, one of the best sports documentaries. It gave me a real Last Dance type of feel. And watching Roy Keane, everybody, David Beckham, and as somebody who is an avid Ted Lasso watcher, even before I started watching, the sport, my first thing was like, yo, did they take Roy Kent? Was Roy Kent based off Roy Keane? I instantly Googled it, and it was like, yes, that was the inspiration. Cause I'm like, this nigga give me Roy Kent vibes, and I put the name together, but it really just shows you just how much of a psychopath Sir Alex Ferguson was to. I kind of felt like he treated them niggas like it was in a boot camp a little bit. Like, yeah.
He was the alpha and omega of that team. Like, there's rumors that like back in the 90s, like when players go clubbing, and he would know where you were at.
Yeah.
So this is before cell phones, before anything. So Alex Ferguson knew if you were in a club you shouldn't be in, he'd find your ass and pull you out the club. I'm like, yo, stop playing around.
Yeah, it was a great documentary, man. There's a lot of fire. If you're just trying to get into the sport, there's a lot of fire soccer documentaries like on Amazon. I watched the Real Madrid documentary when they won the Champions League. I think it's like 2 years ago. There's a great La Liga doc on Netflix right now from like 2 seasons ago. So a lot of good stuff on there, man. But what I got from the Manchester United, like I said, I have a lot of homies that are friends. My friends who are fans of the club, is just like how different Premier League competition is from these other European competitions. Even if you look at Arsenal, yeah, you can say injuries, things like that. Saka missed 4 months, whatever. They never were in it that much from what I've been seeing and going back and watch highlights from this season. But they've been playing a different level in the Champions League. So it's kind of like the difference. I know we talked about this last week, but if you're Manchester United, it's kind of like if you win this and you're able to sneak your way into the Champions League, how do you as a fan view this? Because I kind of feel like even when Arsenal I was asking some of the homies who are Arsenal fans, how would you view this season if we didn't win the Prem, but we won the Champions League? How would you feel about this as a Manchester United fan from how their season has been?
Remember that picture of Kobe when he had the title in the locker room? He was looking like he was mad. That's exactly what it is. Like, I won, but at what cost? Right. But it's a real prize because we do need that Champions League money. And I think getting Champions League, getting Champions League will bring us newer players, like better players, So that is what we need. It's literally the 3 biggest games of our season, right? We have next week against Bilbao in Bilbao. Then the week after we play them at Old Trafford. And it's like, you have to win. You have to, I don't care because we're not going to get relegated, right? I would love it.
No, you're not. That's Leicester and them bummers.
Yeah, Leicester, Southampton, and Leicester, Southampton, and Ipswich. Yeah, those guys are done. But
Leeds got Bush pushed up today.
Leeds and Burnley. Yeah,
Burnley,
it's annoying because they're gonna probably get relegated again next year. Just keep doing this dumbass.
That's cool. What do you think about that? Because I saw on Sky Sports this weekend, I saw Micah Richards, Roy Keane, and Gary Neville. Not there. Is Gary Neville?
Jimmy Carragher.
Jamie Carragher. That was Jamie Carragher. Yeah. He got an annoying ass voice. I know it's Jamie Carragher on Champions League, and Sky Sports is different. Champions League, he don't ever say nothing bad about Arsenal. When this nigga get on Sky Sports, he in peak Liverpool bag. Like he be wilding.
I'm not gonna say anything because that's my former employee. I got nothing bad to say, but I'm just saying that if you notice that, then hey, it ain't got nothing to do with me. If you as somebody who just came to the sport and noticed it, it ain't on me.
I peeped that, but they were saying that it's so tough for clubs to get relegated and come back up and stay up. Why do you think that's an issue?
It's just more so the competition is so difficult, right? The championship to me is a ridiculous league in the first place, but in the Premier League is like another level of just like intensity. Like you could be the best team in the championship, but you come to the Premier League and it's just like boys against men, right? And I think sometimes a lot of these championship teams, they come in real naive. Like Southampton this year, when they came back to the Premier League, they wanted to play out the back and try to be expansive. I'm like, bro, you're playing against a bunch of grown-ass men. Like, what were you doing? Like, you got to be solid defensively first and then attack. But it's one of those things where they have individually talented players. Like Liam Delap is really, really good. Like, he's a really good player. He's available for 30 million pounds in the summer. And Ipswich are going down. He's not. So some of these players are going to stay. Like Leslie Guchuku from Southampton, he's going to stay up. Tyler Diblin probably stay up in the Premier League. But it's like some of these players individually are good, but as a collective, they're just not a good team. So Burnley coming back, Leeds coming back is cool, but it's just like, are you going to be solid defensively first? Because it's a whole nother kettle of fish when you come to the Premier League. So that's it. Yeah.
And I think that's also when you talk about these transfers and stuff like that, because there's a lot of small. Now I'm still like, this is my first transfer window. I don't know if this is kind of like NFL free agent, NBA, when you start hearing whispers ahead of time. I don't know if these are, shaking hand deals behind, because this Victor Gyökeres thing with Arsenal kind of reminds me of the Bears and Drew Dahlman, who they just signed from Atlanta. When we were hearing 2-3 weeks, he's gonna be a Bear. And it was literally clock hit 12 o'clock, 12:01 hours after. Drew Dolan signs with the Bears. And now we're hearing today that Andrea Berta is basically negotiating the release clause with Sporting to get like what is that window kind of like?
I mean, it's a lot of it's agent talk. Agents really put their clients out there, and then they also use media to also kind of hype up their players as well. You go to Fabrizio, you go to this journalist, you give them a little bit of exclusives here and there because that would attract other teams to come buy your players. And sometimes you use teams for like their name and their clout, like negotiate better deals for your clients. So what happens usually is like you will link a player to Man United, there's no chance of going to Man United, but because of that name, now you can go to you can tell like, oh, look who he's linked to and this and that. So it really is just like a game of cat and mouse. That's all that is. Like some of these deals are done under the table. It's just a matter of just like when to announce it. But sometimes, it's a long process. It's one of those things where I've seen how the what's it called is made, for example. I've seen how the sausage made. My younger brother played professional. Oh, yeah. My younger brother, my cousin both play professional. So I've gotten to understand it. My brother runs his own soccer agency right now. So it's like I understand how all these things work now. So it's just one of these things where you don't believe every single rumor. You believe the rumor that works for you. That's how I say it.
Which is what I do with all free agency with any of my teams.
whatever narrative fits your agenda, that's what you roll with. Because you never know what's happening.
I remember I spoke the Khalil Mack trade into existence. I said 2 weeks before it happened. Of course, this is before I started covering the team. It's 3 years before I started covering. I'm like, Khalil Mack's gonna be a Bear. And then it happened 3 weeks later. But I'm noticing like how all this transfer stuff is going. I've been peeping some of the rumors. We're hearing Kevin De Bruyne might be coming to Major League Soccer and Chicago Fire or something. I heard it's just interesting. We're starting to see all this smoke come up. But let's talk about Arsenal. I'm 6 matches in my fandom so far, and I've seen a couple ties. I've seen 2 wins. I've seen 3 wins actually. When you combine PL and also combine Champions League. Last week, I'm about to text you, and I was texting the homie Serge. I was texting our super producer Nikhil. While the game was going on, I was at the edge of my seat, and I was just like, "Yo, okay, we got 4 goals now. Can they really come back from this? Like, what's going on?" I was a little shook when Vinny Jr. hit that goal that the Saliba was tripping, but you kind of see what's going on with Arsenal, with the way they kind of feel like. I know they feel like they can win this competition, and actually taking this past Sunday seriously and actually needing to beat that team the way they beat them. 4 goals, probably should have had 6. Saka missed 2 obvious ones he could have hit in. What have you seen from Arsenal really since Saka has been back? How do you view their chances against PSG, which is a really good team? And just like you can really see they're all focused on this competition now that Liverpool is probably going to clinch next week. What do you feel like what you're seeing from them?
I mean, even before Saka, I think Arsenal's a perfect example of how football fans have no patience. I remember when Arteta got hired in 2019 after they had Unai Emery, and Arsenal finished 8th back-to-back years. And I think a lot of fans, and it's happening right now with Ruben Amorim, where fans want immediate success, right? Nobody has that patience to sit there and let the whole entire play happen. It's 2019 to 2025. It's been a long time since Arteta's been at Arsenal, but he's slowly developed the team into what he wants them to be, which is a bunch of physical dudes who outrun you. They're better on the ball than you. So Arsenal, like, it's taken 6 years for them to get to where they're at right now. And when you're seeing it now, Arsenal are going to win these tournaments and these trophies because they finally have like reached to that level of what Arteta's been trying to build for the last 6 years. So when I'm looking at this Arsenal team, they missed certain things. I think in the summer, Arsenal's need to tweak certain things. They need to get a new striker, fix up their midfield a little bit. But what Mikel's done is built them out from the back to the front, where like defensively, you're not going to really get past Arsenal defensively. Like they're one of the most stingiest teams. Like that's why I knew Real Madrid weren't going to win, because it's been 700 something days since anyone scored more than 3 goals on Arsenal. That's not by luck. That's by design. That's by having a really good coach and having patience with the owners and everybody bringing in plays that specifically fit as to how he sees his team. And the same thing's happening with my club. Is like, this is not a really good team. Like I'm seeing United fans say, "Oh, get rid of the coach." I'm like, no. It doesn't work that way. Like you have to let his ideas land. If it doesn't work next year, then you're looking to fire him. But Mikel's been there for 6 years, and Arsenal's really giving him a lot of time and patience. So you're now starting to see the fruit bear. You know, like when they got Declan Rice, that was like a good piece for them to like really now ascend. Like you have your spine in your team is Gabriel when he's not injured, Saliba, Declan Rice, and Bukayo Saka, and then you end up getting a 9. But now you got a bunch of players who generally fit what the coach wants, and they have confidence, right? That's the most important thing. Is like you're having Mikel Merino doing, you know, a back heel for Martinelli to score. Like that's all confidence, right?
Yeah,
That's all.
he been balling too, Marino.
Yeah, that's all instilled from the coach, right? And like it helps when your academy players are now in an environment for them to thrive. Like Bukayo Saka got thrown into the fire when he was first at Arsenal, but now he's like an elder statesman of the team. So when Ethan Nwaneri and you have Miles Lewis Skelly coming in, they're around a bunch of men and a bunch of grown men. So like they're now free to play how they want to play. So long story short, Arsenal's really like done this rebuild very, very well. And because people have short memories, right? They forget how long it took. 6 years isn't 6 years sounds insane, right? But it's really not that long. Like if you think about the grand scheme of things, like we now looking at Arsenal as like a favorite to win the Champions League. 6 years ago, you wouldn't have said that when they finished 8th. So it's one of those things where they progress each year, each season, each transfer window. They progress, and like now you're finally starting to see the fruit bear. But you don't remember those barren years when you know they finished 8th back-to-back years, and you'll laugh at him like, "Oh, you're going to fire him now." They consistently finish in the top 4. So if Arsenal wins the Premier League next year, it's not a shock because this has been developing over time. So yeah,
especially if they make the moves that they're trying to make. And you talk about the core, we're seeing from different media report, different beat writers saying that they're working on extensions for Bukayo Saka. He's going to be looking at $300,000 a week. Heard Miles Lewis Skelly extension. Feel like they're trying to get the team. They already paid all of Arteta's staff, so it really feels like, okay, we know who the guys who are going to be here. We're going to lock them up, and we're going to make the things that, you know, that we need to be added to it. And what I found out, you know, going through the history of this club and everything, that when they built Emirates Stadium, that took a hit on what niggas they could actually get. So it took a long time for them to get out the red.
Yeah, financially, Arsenal hit hard. And like, I remember, again, like, the dudes who I run the Shirtless Plantain show with, they're all Arsenal fans. So I know more about Arsenal than most people ever imagine. Because
shout out to the Arsenal edition of Shirtless Plantain show. I'll be locked in.
Yeah, so I have to listen to everything Arsenal says, right? Like I know just as much as Arsenal as I know about Man United, but Arsenal they took a major hit financially when they moved from Highbury to Emirates, which, by the way, Highbury is one of my favorite stadiums ever. My dad used to live opposite the street from Highbury, so that's like that's like, and when neither one of us are Arsenal fans, but that's a Liverpool fan, I'm a United fan, but Arsenal have always been in the lore, right? They've always been around, and like they took a hit financially. Now they're finally getting to that place. And I also think Josh Kroenke, funny enough, he's actually really helped out what Arsenal's been doing. Like he's been really leading the charge of them to change their.
One thing you can say is the Kroenkes are cheap. I can tell you, the Los Angeles Rams are a money laundering front. 100%. So you can't say they cheap about with anything. So I definitely agree with that.
Yeah, but yeah, Arsenal's improved, man. It's just really goes down to like fans just need to be patient, man. They gotta understand you want to be successful overnight, but it doesn't work like that, man. Like these things take time. You're gonna fail a lot before you actually win. It's like anything in life, man. You're gonna fail, but you gotta keep trying. So that's really it.
And I was also looking up stuff. I found out the year I was born, Arsenal won the league that year. I was like, hey, that's what we need to be, man. Last topic on the segment, we want to go to switch our attention to La Liga, man. Barcelona had a late last minute win. They only up by 4. I find it funny. Maybe it's just how mid Real Madrid has been, that everybody's saying this race is over. They're only up 4 points, and their striker, I forgot his name.
Lewandowski.
Yeah, Lewandowski. He's gonna be out. Like, looks like he's gonna be out for the rest of the year. Maybe 3 weeks. Not good. And then you have Real Madrid won last night, last minute goal, without killing Mbappe. With everything going on, we hearing about they're gonna do a retooling. They're gonna get rid of how you pronounce his last name? Their coach,
Ancelotti.
Ancelotti. And it's crazy because they just won the Champions League last year. But when you are a club like Real Madrid and you got all this history, it's a higher expectation level, kind of like the Lakers. The Lakers have been through 5 coaches. You know, Frank Vogel won a championship. That nigga's unemployed. He's been fired twice since he's won a championship. Kind of the same thing we're seeing here. Do you think that they still have a chance? You know, they're gonna play in the Copa del Rey.
In the final.
Yeah, and Now they're still back in this race. What do you think about what's going on with this? They're racing in right now and just their future.
Real Madrid are a funny club because you know they're more for their like players and their lore and what they've won more than their coaches. There was a year, 2004 to about 2006. They had 4 coaches in 2 years, and then it was 2009, 2010. Pellegrini was their coach, and he ended up getting 96 points. Barcelona got 99 points, and they fired him. Insane. That's just how Real Madrid are. They're batshit crazy. They don't care. Like they will fire you just because you breathe wrong. They don't really keep coaches for too long. But I will say this: that Real Madrid right now, they need to figure out their squad. I think they're very imbalanced, which is why I wasn't shocked that Arsenal beat them. They have a lot of talented players, but they don't really have talented players in certain positions. Like they really need fullbacks badly. They need a tempo setter in their midfield, and then Mbappe and Vinny. They figured out how to play together, but it's like Mbappe wants to stay towards the left, and it's just weird. And then Rodrigo's there. So it's like they have a lot of talented individuals. Like as a collective, they're not that good. But Barcelona, on the other hand, great going forward. But defensively, Barcelona they play that high line, which is like it works, but it's very suicidal, which is why they got 3 goals scored against them this weekend. Back-to-back players had hat tricks on them in the Champions League in the weekend. So I think Real Madrid end up losing the league title to Real Madrid, to end up losing to Barcelona, and they probably end up losing Copa del Rey to Barcelona. But I think this summer, Real Madrid really have to really look in the mirror and like, where do we want to be? How do we balance out this team? Who's going to be our new coach? Because Carlos probably gone, man. Carlos tired. He's 65 years old. He's been, he was a decent player when he was playing, good player when he was playing, had a really long coaching career. Carlos has been coaching forever. And I just think at some point, he just wants to go to Brazil and vape. Like, that's what he wants to do, man. Smoke his cigarettes in Rio and mind his business. So it's time for Carlos to go enjoy the sun in Brazil. And they probably end up getting Xabi Alonso, was a really good player for them as well. But again, it remains to be seen how they're going to retool in the summer. So that's.
I heard they're trying to get who's my man from Liverpool?
Jurgen Klopp.
Yeah, no, not the coach, the player that they're trying to get.
Trent. They're trying to get Trent. That's more than likely a done deal at this point. I think Trent just wants to go over to Spain. He's done everything for Liverpool. I mean, Liverpool fans can't be mad. I mean, he's won 2 league titles at this point. Gonna say 2 because Liverpool obviously favors him in the Premier League, and then he's won a Champions League. It's more than Steven Gerrard's ever done for them, but that's neither here nor there. But yeah, that's that.
Final question, because I will miss the first leg of Arsenal PSG because I will be on an airplane. So when I get back, when I can land, I'll see all the reports, but everything. But what's your thoughts on the Final Four of the Champions League?
So I said this yesterday on the podcast. I'm saying it again. My top 4 and favorites in order is going to be Arsenal number 1. Mm-hmm. I'm going to have Inter second, and I put those 2 1 and 2 because I think that those 2 teams are really hard to score against. When you're in a tournament in like Champions League, right? You need to be solid defensively, and I think Arsenal and Inter are the most solid defensive teams. PSG and Barcelona, they're talented. Like, I'm not going to hold, like, they have some of the best midfielders. Nico Barella is one of the best midfielders in the world. I think the word of Pedri. I think the word of Gavi. But I just think that they're easy. Like, Arsenal's midfield can outrun PSG. Like, as technical as PSG are, I think, like, when you have somebody like Declan Rice who can just run through anybody, it's going to be hard, right? And they've already played each other, and obviously that was a different PSG and a different Arsenal, so it's going to be very interesting how those styles clashes. Inter's going to be more interesting with Barcelona because Barcelona, like I said, played a high line, a very, very, like, just super high line, right? And Inter, they're not the best individuals. Like, they got some really talented players like Bastoni, Nico Barella, Lautaro Martinez. DeMarco's probably the best left wing back if we're going by formation, the best left wing back in the world. But those names aren't sexy to most average fans of football, right? Unless you're super nerd who watches it all the time, like, you don't understand what I'm trying to say. But Barcelona have these sexy names. They got Lamine Yamal, Pedri, Gavi, Rafinha, who's probably going to win Ballon d'Or this year. Konde as well. So for me, it's like, I'm really interested in the tactical battle between Inzaghi and Hansi Flick because while going forward, Barcelona are insanely talented going forward, I think that Inter, they don't care. They will sit back. They will cut you 1,000 ways. They will do any. They will score the ugliest goals in the world and sit on a 1-0 lead, sit on a 2-0 lead, sit on a 2-1, sit on a 3-2 because they just don't care. That's how they play. So I do think, unfortunately, Arsenal are the favorites to win Champions League this year. I really do, but stranger things have happened in football. Stranger things have happened. So
definitely gonna be interesting to watch, man. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing these last couple games. Got the FA Cup in a couple weeks as well, so should be a good, interesting start into the season before we get into transfer I will be watching the World Club World Cup this summer as well, man. But that's it for this edition of Soccer for Dummies, and this is it for this edition of I'm Not Gonna Hold You. Like I said this week, no Friday show. We will have the third annual I'm Not Gonna Hold You NFL Draft Reaction Special at Thursday, 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific. We're going to be giving all of our instant reactions to the first 10 draft picks, man. That includes the Bears. I will not be at Hallis Hall this Thursday for that. I understand they give us free food, but I'm not driving all the way out there just to hear Ryan Poles say the same thing he always says after the draft. So I'm not going to do that this year, but we will be here on the draft special. Tosin, anything that people can expect on upcoming episodes of the Shirtless Plantain Show?
Got a lot of ideas I'm cooking. I don't want to like give out the secrets yet, but there's a lot of stuff I'm trying to cook up. It's gonna be an interesting summer. I'm starting to get back into writing again, so that's just a personal project I'm trying to tackle on, trying to do a little more soccer writing, culture writing. So that's really like what's coming down the line for us. But we got a lot of things we're trying to come up with. So stay tuned.
Stay tuned, man. You know where to follow him at. Follow Shirtless Plantain Show. Y'all can follow me at Barber Scott. Yeah, man, y'all enjoy these two playoff games here tonight, and we'll be back. Well, I'll have the Wednesday Patreon edition for the Patreon sprout, by the way, patreon.com/Barbershop Network. If you're watching this on TV screen, you can take your phone up to the QR code. It'll take you to all the different tiers. If you subscribe to the $5 I'm Not Gonna Hold You tier or the $10 holla, which is on everything, you will get the Wednesday episode of the show. And of course, you will get a 25% off code on your first order at the Barbershop Network shop. That is bcnetshop.com. We got a special Caleb Williams draft shirt dropping on Thursday, man. So y'all know to follow me. We gonna holler at y'all on Thursday for the draft special. We up out of here.